Yep.
All right, welcome to Anti Media. That's Ryan.
You're Joel.
And I'm Joel. I started with the wrong scene. We already gave away the plot. Dang it. Here's the plot, ladies and gentlemen. We today are going to talk about Buttergate. We need to deal with this. This is an important thing. Forget about COVID. Forget about
So I was trying to eat the butter. I apologize.
Oh yeah, forget about there. You didn't know. Forget about guns. Forget about carbon tax. We need to deal with this very important topic of Buttergate. So you've come up with your own research. I've done a little bit of my own research, and we're going to see what we can come up with. But before we do that, I just got to start off with one of my favorite clips about butter. You remember? You ever eat this stuff? I can't believe it's not butter.
Maybe once or twice.
It was an actual brand.
Really,
yeah, it was an actual brand.
It's really expensive margarine, if I remember correctly.
Is it expensive? Okay, well, here's
I
one
don't
of
know
my
if it was.
favorite clips from this lady.
You know that stuff that they're selling now at the local shop?
Which stuff?
I can't believe it's not butter.
Oh, yes.
Well, you know, I can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah, well, I believe that is the idea, yeah.
Then yesterday, I went to Crookenden and I bought this other stuff, like a sort of home brand, you know.
Yes.
And, you know, I can't believe it's not butter.
Home brand being.
Yeah, like no name.
I'm losing you now.
Oh, right. Well, you know I can't believe it's not butter.
Yeah. You think it is butter?
No. I mean, you know the stuff that I can't believe is not butter is called I can't believe it's not butter.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I can't believe the stuff that is not I can't believe it's not butter is not I can't believe it's not butter. And I can't believe that both I can't believe it's not butter and the stuff that I can't believe is not I can't believe it's not butter are both in fact not butter. And I believe they both might be butter in a cunning disguise. And in fact, there's a lot more butter around than we all thought there was.
Repeat after me.
Well, we got a bigger problem. We have a lot less butter around. That was Emma Chambers, by the way. She actually passed away a couple years ago. She was hilarious, that gal. All right, Ryan, you can start. Which one do you want me to show you first? Wendy?
Oh, let's go. Let's go with Wendy first.
Let's go with Wendy. Here's Wendy.
A lot of holiday baking is sure to happen this weekend, but
This is
Canadian
from
businesses making Christmas goodies are
2015.
running short of an essential ingredient, butter. Diane Buckner has the details.
Diane Buckner?
This is our
Buckner?
banana cake, and it's made with cream cheese and butter.
Dufflette Rosenberg uses literally tons of butter every year. Her Toronto bakery supplies
butter.
500 supermarkets, hotels, and airlines in 4 provinces. But that vital ingredient has been hard to get.
We have to go to different distributors and different companies to see what we can find to fill our needs.
The shortage is hitting this Halifax bakery even harder.
Gingerbread
There has
house.
been a few times when we've ordered butter and we haven't received any.
Now the federal government has approved
Wearing
an
the neck scarf?
emergency import
Wee
of
bit
almost
pretentious.
9 million pounds of butter from as far away as South America and New
They're
Zealand.
importing it from
We
South
want to be
America.
providing the milk for the Canadian marketplace, absolutely.
Outside Winnipeg, dairy farmer David Weens says the
Hey,
industry
Mennonite.
is ramping up, but it takes time.
They're not milk robots, and they're not like like a machine which you just dial up and take more product from.
What would a milk robot be?
This
though?
isn't
That'd be
supposed to happen with Canada's supply management system. But the Dairy Commission's growth forecast was way off, and it's not just due to holiday baking. Some industry observers point to this as one reason butter has become so popular
Yeah.
again. A Time
I remember that
magazine
article.
cover story that plainly says, eat butter. The article inside says scientists have concluded that some types of fat are actually good for us.
Oh, scientists have
Supermarkets
concluded.
get first dibs on Canadian-made butter, so no shortages there. It's the industrial users that get the more expensive imports. In a statement, the Minister of Agriculture says growing demand for butter is good news. The system is flexible and can adjust to a surge in demand.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
But can it, though?
But
Yeah.
Dufflette Rosenberg would much prefer to buy Canadian.
Why would we want to buy from outside Canada? It doesn't really make sense for us.
Milk quotas have been raised. Many bakery owners and farmers would say, not soon enough. Diane Buckner, CBC
All right,
News,
Diane, thanks
Toronto.
for that. Okay.
Thanks, Diane.
Now, we were talking
Diane
a
and
little
Wendy.
bit. Dumping milk is pretty common practice and like dumping in the ditch, literally. And of course, and then now at times shortages is also fairly common.
Yes.
And so, how do you think this is playing into Buttergate as far as why the butter is hard?
I have a feeling. So one link I haven't sent you is there's a scientific journal I found,
No.
and where they were trying to. Well, there's two things that go into this. I think there's a lot of science around the taste of not necessarily butter, but dairy products in general, especially milk.
No.
Right, depending on what they feed them, and then how to get the most fat content out.
Correct.
Because for the longest time, we were told that fat was bad. Right.
That's right.
Well, have you ever seen that sketch where the guy goes back in time
Yep.
to stop himself from eating breakfast?
Yep. That is
Okay.
very good. No, I forget who did that, but yeah, we should have. No, that is a good.
So that's what's happening is we're moving from margarine and all these other alternate fats, because then we found out there's much trans fats in those, which are way worse than saturated fats. Turns out you actually need saturated fats. So all of a sudden, about 5 years ago, like they said, 5-6 years ago, people started eating butter again.
Yep.
And large amounts of butter. So that took away from the industrial guys who are always using butter. Because if you're making bakery items and it calls for butter, you use butter. So
Okay, but why does that make our butter hard?
So the only reason why I think that makes butter hard is it's something that they're feeding the cows to get more fat out of the milk.
All right, so you did give us a milk distribution by province chart for some reason, so that's what that one is.
Yeah. But if you go to the bottom, it gives you the total amounts per year in Canada.
So there's the total amounts right here at the bottom. And
so you can see a
that it has
giant
gone up.
jump.
Yeah, so 388, I guess that would be tons. What is that? Millions of kilograms. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're up to 308, and that was 2019-18 from 308 in 2010. So, yeah, and a pretty beat from 306 here to 3015 and 13, and then a steady increase. Yeah. Okay. So the demand is up.
Yeah, and population hasn't gone up that much, so people are just straight up eating more of it.
Oh, and so they should.
Yeah.
Now, this, as you know, they've been talking about the feed, and they now think that it's got something to do with palm oil, right?
Yeah.
So here's the big theory, and are you on board with this theory? You think the palmatic acid, what's it called? Basically, palm oil inserted into the dairy feed, and dairy cows, of course, do get feed all the time. I mean, and when they're milking them here, there's feed on the other side. They don't just graze. There's beef. A lot of the beef industry only does grazing, but not so much dairy. They always are feeding.
Oh yeah, and they do lots of silage and stuff depending on the time of year. Yeah.
So the palmatic acid additive. So what I did is I got a hold of some illegal butter, and because I saw those reports too that they were saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe it's palmatic acid. The only problem with palmatic acid, before I show you what I did, is I got a couple articles from Quebec newspapers, but they were saying that they've been doing this for up to 10 years.
That's what I found out too.
Yeah, so this is not something new. And my wife and I have noticed harder butter. You said that you don't necessarily notice it. But my wife and I have noticed harder butter over time. But we leave it on the counter. She goes, is our house not hot enough? And in the summertime, it still doesn't get hot enough.
Trust me, honey, the house is hot enough.
So a couple of these articles from Quebec were saying, no, they weren't saying no. They were saying, oh, this could be it. But they've been doing it for 10 years. So I haven't noticed hard butter until recently. And that's why Palmgate or Buttergate is just kicked on. The Guardian, this is not the bad Guardian from Britain. This is a Guardian from Prince Edward Island, by the way, this newspaper.
Okay.
They were talking about it too. And they were saying that, wait a minute, the open secret in industry is the way to increase cow's butter fat, like in many Quebec places, is to add this palm oil. But then today, CBC Marketplace just came out with this article. 17 brands of butter told us. And they tested it, and they now are saying that palm probably isn't the contributing factor after all. All right, let me show you my video here. Let me show you.
You're jumping the shark? Are you jumping the shark?
I'm going to jump the shark a little bit here because this was where I was going. I was trying to think, how in the world can that... So this illegal butter that I'm using, I'm going to try to bleep out the person's name that got it to me because I don't want them to get in trouble. So If I don't hit mute in time, just please ignore. All right, time for the butter challenge. We've got 2 butters here. One's store-bought butter. Come on and take a close look. Store-bought butter, which I've had on the counter, and farm fresh butter, homemade butter, which also has been on the counter. And so we're just going to check for consistency. You can see the store-bought butter is quite a bit more solid. Let me go to the Buttergate butter. Oh, dang it. Go down to the dig a little bit deeper, but it's much softer, way softer.
Well, you didn't say which one it was, so there's a million.
Sorry, there's a million. They're going to put it on. This is the Buttergate butter on the. Oh, I did it again. On the saltine cracker, no problem there. Let's try the store-bought butter.
The store-bought butter is way harder.
Work it a little harder. Oh, no, I didn't do that on purpose. You probably think I did, but I did. It's a little bit harder to work there. And let's do the taste test now. Butter's still good. Cleanse my palate. Little saltier than Buttergate butter, but did it again. Essentially, but still, Buttergate butter softer, no doubt about it. All right, so there was my little test. Now, some people are going to say, well, yeah, but it looked like the no-name or the homemade butter was whipped. So I did it last night. I took the butter and I compressed it. If you can see that or not, I compressed it. My wife used it for her breakfast this morning. So here we go again. So I'm going to quickly just scrape it again. Very soft, very soft. Yeah, that's going to spread, no problem. My wife took away my crackers. Okay, and again, here's and again, it's very chunky again. So sorry, it's definitely harder. So now, and again, this is from a actual dairy illegally. They made their own butter. So my theory now is it probably cannot be the feed because they would probably be using the same feed as everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's the production process. Now, I did see something about when you're making butter, you're supposed to let it sit for a while, and it's supposed to allow the fat globules to glob. Is that what they do?
Coagulate?
Yeah, and they're saying that maybe they're rushing, because again, you talked about the shortage, right? They're maybe rushing the production a little bit, and that's causing it to be a little less buttery. So I don't think we can blame the palm people. Those poor palm people. I don't think we can blame them.
No, they've been doing it for a long time, palm oil, for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
They also use, what was that again? The other things I've heard, depends on where you live, they can use any fatty acid. They'll also use fish oil and soybean oil.
Yeah, you don't want fish oil that big. But see, this is the test that the CBC guys did, or the people at the University of Guelph. And they actually did a push test. So they were depression tests to see how thick it was. And there was no real correlation. And so they're trying to figure out now, they're trying to figure out what it is, but I believe it's got to be.
It's got to be preparation.
They said maybe the milking machines, but again, I don't think it's the milk. So, but there was, and I forget what article it was. Oh, here it is, right here. Cooling, butter makers may have reduced the aging time for the milk and sped up cooling after turning to meet the demand. There you go. That quick cooling could leave small hard fat crystals in the butter. So maybe the CBC got to the bottom of this just today. This article is literally, I think, from yesterday. No, there's no date. No, thanks a lot.
That would make sense. The actual industrial process of making the butter makes more sense. Another thought I had could be the process they use to pasteurize the milk.
Yeah, and probably the milk probably the butter here that I got from the black market is not pasteurized. That's my guess. Yeah. Because I think they don't pasteurize until they get it to the plant. So this would be before it gets on the truck. So there you have it. So anything else you want to share?
No.
Because
that makes sense. Palm oil was way too convenient of an excuse.
Yeah, I need to make that logo bigger so it covers your face completely next time. So that's good. I'm gonna keep eating it. So there you have it.
Yeah.
If you have any suggestions, you want to criticize our in-depth research. I think there's definitely something to be said about the demand issue. So at times when there's less demand and times when there's peak demand, as of right now, it's still peak demand, right? Is that what you came up with?
That's roughly. And I actually think they are kicking themselves when they dumped a bunch of milk last spring.
Right.
At the beginning of the pandemic, because there's an issue where none of their commercial users could get the milk.
That's right.
So then they didn't have enough packaging to turn it into, commercial grade milk products. Like there's a whole bunch of issues last spring when all the restaurants shut down.
So now I'm curious if the supply chain right now is actually still being filled with Canadian milk, or whether they're supplementing with milk they're getting from somewhere else, or even butter from somewhere else. I mean, we wouldn't know that, right?
No, because it would go to the big dairies that actually make milk, right? Because not every dairy, that makes butter. Because not every dairy necessarily makes butter. Right? Because you can buy PC branded butter. You can buy...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And where do they get it from? We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Hopefully I haven't got anybody arrested. I might have to go back and bleep out the offending words. I'll figure out how to do that.
It's a pretty big group of people to try and investigate.
All right. Well, the conspiracy theory is that it's based on palm, and I'm going to say it's debunked for now.
Debunked.
Moderately debunked.
Yep.
And thanks to our illegal butter to just prove that 100%. All right, there you go.
Absolutely.
Ryan.
Awesome.
It's been good chatting with you. And like I said, if you have objections, strenuous or otherwise, let us know in the comments. And that's it for Anti-Media for today, even though we ended up pointing to the media to prove our point. So that was kind of awkward. That's never going to happen again. All right, goodbye.
Bye.